Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is episode 9 of AWS tutorials. In this video, we'll see how to download files from AWS S3 using Presigned URL. By the end of this video, you will be able to download files securely from AWS S3 using a Presigned URL. We'll see how to generate download Presigned URL using Lambda. We'll access private S3 files without exposing the bucket and we'll understand its flow as well. In this video, we'll create S3 bucket and we'll create a Lambda function that will generate download Presigned URL. Then we'll create an API gateway endpoint and we'll download file directly from S3 using the Presigned URL. This is going to be our flow diagram. Client will first make a get S3 Presigned URL request and that request will be received by our API gateway. And API gateway will invoke our Presigned URL generator Lambda. Then Lambda will generate get object Presigned URL and using that URL, client will fetch the file from S3. So let's see how to implement this solution. So we are in AWS console. Here you just make sure you are in the correct region. Now let's create an S3 bucket. Let's create a bucket. Here we'll provide the bucket name. Led by Shashank Presigned download URL S3. And then we'll leave all the configuration as it is. Make sure you have block all public access. And let's create the bucket. So our bucket has been created. Now let's upload a file there. So let's create a folder here. Let's name it as documents. And we'll create it. Now inside this folder, let's upload a file. We'll click on this add files. I have this sample text file. I'll upload this. So the file has been uploaded successfully. If you see, there is this file sample.txt and it is of 180 bytes only. Okay, so our S3 bucket is ready. Now let's create a Lambda that will generate the presigned URL. Let's create a function. Let's provide the function name. Dev by Shashank presigned download URL Lambda. In the runtime, we'll select Python 3.14 and let's create the function. Our Lambda function has been created. Let's move to the code section. Here, let's just log the event. And let's deploy the code. Now let's go to API gateway and integrate this Lambda. Let's create an API. Here we'll create a REST API. Let's provide the API name. Led by Shashank presigned download URL API. In the endpoint type, we'll select regional. This is going to be a public API. And the security policy will select the recommended one. And let's create the API. So our API has been created. Let's create a resource here. Let's provide the resource name. Get S3 presigned download URL. And let's create the resource. Now let's create a get method and integrate it with the Lambda. Here we'll select get. Here we'll select Lambda function. Let's enable this Lambda proxy integration. And here, let's just select that Lambda. Okay, so this is the Lambda that we have created. And just leave all the configuration as it is and create the method. So our get method is ready. We'll scroll down and let's go into this test section. Here in the query string parameters, let's provide the file name that we want to download from S3 bucket. So we'll copy the name from S3 bucket. And we'll provide it here. Let's click on this test button. So the status is 200 and the response is hello from Lambda. Now let's see the event object that Lambda has logged in the CloudWatch logs group. And from there, we'll fetch the value of this file name and we'll generate the presigned URL. We'll go into this Lambda. We'll go into this monitoring section and we'll open CloudWatch logs. So this is CloudWatch log group. Here if we scroll down, there is this log stream. We'll open it. If you see, this is the event object. So let's copy it and paste it in JSON viewer. Let's format it. So here the resource is get S3 presigned download URL. HTTP method is get. And if you see here, we have this query string parameters. Inside this, we have this file name sample.txt. So we have to read this file name value. We'll go to this Lambda. And now let's implement the code. Let's fetch the resource name. Let's fetch the HTTP method. Now let's put conditions. If resource equals to get S3 presigned download URL. If HTTP method equals to get, we'll fetch file name. Now here we'll generate presigned URL. Now to generate S3 presigned download URL, we need Boto3 module. So let's check the documentation of Boto3 S3. If we scroll down, there is this generate presigned URL. Here in this method, we need to provide these parameters. The first one is client method. So in client method, we have to provide the actual method for which we need the presigned URL. So here we need it for get object. So here we'll provide get object. So now in the params key, we have to provide the parameters that this method accepts. So here we need to provide the parameters for get object, and expires in it is the number of seconds for which the presigned URL is valid. Okay, so we need only these three parameters. We can skip the last one. Now let's copy this method name and let's go to our Lambda. So let's write the function to generate the presigned URL. So for that, first we need to import Boto3. Let's create an S3 client. We'll provide region name. So my S3 bucket is in AP South 1 region. If you have curated your S3 bucket in some different region, so just provide that region name here. And now let's put the bucket name. I will copy it from here. And I'll paste it. Now let's write the method to generate the presigned URL. So here we'll write presigned URL equals to S3 client dot generate presigned URL. Now here we need to pass client method, that is get object. In params we need to provide bucket name and key, and let's provide the expires in. We have put the 3600 here, that means it will be valid for 1 hour. And let's return the presigned URL. In the status code, let's put 200, and in the body, let's put the presigned URL. Now let's call this method from the get logic. And from here, we'll return the response. Now let's implement the else part as well for these f blocks. So here we'll return invalid HTTP method. And for this if block, let's return invalid resource. So guys, our code is ready. And if you see here in the key, we have provided the file name. So the thing is, if I go to this S3 bucket, so our file name is inside this document folder. So from API gateway, we need to provide the key for this file name. So the key is, we see here, the key is document/sample.txt. Okay, so we need to provide this from API gateway inside the file name. So let's deploy our function now. So now our Lambda function has been deployed successfully. So now there is one more thing. Our Lambda role does not have permission to call this get object method. So let's resolve that as well. We'll go into this configuration section and we'll go into this permissions and let's open this role. So this is our role. Here let's click on this add permissions. create inline policy. Let's select S3 here. In the actions, we have to search for get object. In resources, let's select all. Let's click on this next button. Let's provide the policy name. S3 read policy. Let's create the policy. Now the role has been updated successfully. Let's go to API gateway and test it. Now we are in get method. Inside this test section, here we need to put documents as well, because our file name is inside this documents folder. And now let's click on this test button. So if you see here, the status is 200, and in the response body, we have got this presigned URL. So now let's test it from Postman as well. For that, we need to deploy this API. So if we scroll up, this deploy API button is disabled right now. We just need to reload this page. Now this button is enabled. Let's click on this. In this stage, we need to select a new stage, and let's provide the stage name as dev, and let's deploy it. So here we are inside this stages section. Let's expand this. Let's click on this get method. And this is the invoke URL that we need to call it from Postman. Let's copy it and open Postman app. Let's create a new request. Here the HTTP method will be get, and let's paste the URL. Now in the param sections, we need to provide file name. So it's a document slash sample.txt, and let's execute this. So if you see here, the status code is 200, and this is the presigned URL. Guys, now let's copy this URL and paste it in browser. Okay, so if you see here, we are getting a mismatch error, signature does not match. So if you see, we are in AP South 1 region. So for that, we need to make some minor changes in our code. So let's go to our Lambda function and let's fix it. So here we need to import Boto core config. And now let's create a S3 config. Here let's put region name. And here we need to provide addressing style as well. And let's put virtual. And here, instead of passing region name, we'll pass config. So guys, the thing is, we face these things in new regions like AP South 1 and all. And if you are working in US East 1, US East 2 regions, it will definitely work fine for you. So guys, to avoid region specific S3 endpoint issues, we use virtual hosted addressing for all presigned URLs, whether it is upload or download. So the request always hits the correct S3 endpoint without redirects. Okay, so we just need to provide this addressing style as virtual if you are working in some new region like AP South 1 and all. Okay, now let's deploy this code. And now let's test it from Postman again. We'll click on this send button. So this is our new URL. I'll copy it and let's paste it in browser. Okay guys, if you see here, this time it has read that file. So this was my file content that I uploaded. Now the thing is, this time it has read the file. It has not downloaded the file. So how to do that? So for that, let's go to that Boto3 documentation again. And here, let's open that get object. So here, if you see, these are the parameters that we can pass inside this get object. So right now we pass only bucket name and key. So if you see here, there is this response content disposition as well. So let's open this one. So here we need to set this response content disposition, and here we need to provide that we need that file in the attachment form. Okay, so let's do that. Now here we'll go inside this param section and let's provide that value. So if you see here inside this response content disposition, We need it as attachment, and here we need to provide the file name. So now let's deploy this code. And now let's test it from Postman. Click on this send button. And now let's copy this URL and let's open it in browser. This time if you see, it has downloaded that file, and if I'll open it, you can see this content. This file was uploaded to Amazon S3 using an API. Okay, so this is the content that was there in that file. So guys, if you want to share some files securely, in that case, you can generate presigned URLs for those files, and you can share those URLs with the others. And using those URLs, they will be able to download the files. So guys, thank you for watching this video. So in the next video, we'll see how to secure REST APIs in AWS. And if you like the video, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. And if you have any questions, just drop it in the comment box.